Okay, today we're up to 6J, the tangent function. Now, obviously, you can read through this stuff yourself, but the thing that you need to know the most about the tangent function is that you will see here that the period is pi on n. So we're used to 2 pi on n, now we're just pi on n. So you can see here's the tan function, and it goes between here and here. So it goes between pi on 2 and 3 pi on 2, which is a period of just pi instead of 2 pi. So that is why when we work out what the period is, we're going to do pi on 2 this time and not 2 pi on 2. So let's have a look at what we've got. So for the first one here, excuse me, my stuff's falling everywhere. As you can see, I'm just trying to save a little bit of time by putting up my graph as it begins. So if you'd like to stop it and copy what I've done there, or you may go as we go along. So first of all, we want to do this over between 0 and 2 pi. So I've done from 0 to 2 pi along the bottom. Now the first thing that we're going to look at is what is in front of the x. So in this case it's 2, so we're going to do a period of pi on 2, okay, as per what we just talked about. So pi on 2, not 2 pi on 2 this time. So our period for this function is only pi on 2. So we want to go the whole tan graph, but within here. So within here we'd do pi on 2, we would do the whole tan graph going like this. However, the other thing we need to take into consideration here is the negative -1, and our -1 is going to mean that we drag it down to -1. Okay, so if you draw your line across here, this is how we now consider our x-axis, so where our point of inflection is going to go through. So if it's going to stretch between 0 and pi on 2, because that is what our period is, normally that would be the middle point and we'd go up through here. But this time it is at -1. Now with tan, when you start from 0, from up here, we come straight from 0, 0. So we're going to do that, but of course we're going to come from 0, -1. Okay. So that's why the asymptotes are drawn where they are. So we're going to come up here, going along there. Then the next one is going to be at pi on 2, -1, where we go through and up. Next one is going to be at pi -1. Next, we're going to go through 3 pi on 2, -1. And because we need to stop at 2 pi, the last one is going to be 2 pi, -1. And we're just going to go up to that point. Oh, a bit close there. Okay, so that's how we draw the first one. All right, let's have a look at the second one. So our period is going to change for this. Let me just change my shadow too. Okay, so my period this time, the number in front of the x is 1/2. So the period is going to be pi on 1/2. Okay, which means our period is going to be 2 pi. Now if we look at what else we've got there, we're not concerned with the 2 out the front. So what happens with the amplitude with the 2 out the front is we can just make that recognisable on the axes, and we can do that at the end. It won't influence anything at this stage. And the minus means that we're going to be reflecting as well. So we are going from 0 to 2 pi. So we have 2 pi and pi. And our normal tan graph at this stage would go through here, and it would come down from here up to that point. So when it is just, don't forget, when it is just the period of pi like it is up here, you would go through that value, but this time we have period of 2 pi, so our graph is going to look like this. So that's like one cycle stopping at 2 pi. Now, so we've taken care of this first bit, the other thing we have to do is we have to reflect it. So our actual, let me get a colour, our actual graph of this one, if we're going to reflect it, it's going to look like this. Okay, so we're in between 0 and 2 pi. It is only one rotation in between those points, and we have to reflect, therefore giving us this one. All right, let's have a look at the next one. All right. So this time we're between negative pi and pi. So that's why I have drawn from negative pi to pi. Let's have a look at what the period is. Okay, so period, there's nothing here in front of our bracket. So our period is just pi. So we have a normal pi period. So if you think about what this would normally look like, you can have a look up in the graph up the top. So it would normally go like this. Like this. Down here. And up here. Okay, so that's what our normal one would look like. However, so we need to move this to the left, pi on 2. Okay, so what normally would be here, we're going to bring back to pi on 2. This one will come back here to negative pi on 2. So we're thinking that it's going to go like this, and that's why I've done the asymptotes why I have, because I'm going ahead of you guys. And it would go like this. Yeah, I'm not going to draw it because I'll get confused. Actually, I am, because I'll do it with red pen. So if we bring it back pi on 2, oh gosh, sorry, this is our second line. Okay, so this is now the one we're looking at. Don't confuse the first with the second. And with my red pen, the other thing that we have to do is we must reflect this line. So we are now going to reflect this line. So it's going to come down here, go down there for the asymptote, and same on this side. So your asymptotes have been moved from pi on 2 to 0, and from 0 to negative pi. Okay, last one on this page. All right, graphing. So, well, you know what I forgot to do? If we go back to B, I did forget to do this. So you just need to show this on your graph somewhere, okay, as to where your positioning is going to be. All right, so this last one, let's have a look at our period first. So our period, remember it's pi, it's going to be pi on 2. And the other thing we need to do is go left pi on 4. And we don't have a negative this time, which is good. And we want it to be shown between 0 and pi. So what I've done too is to show you how you can draw up your basics. So this one's going from 0 to 2 pi, because you might have started with this. And when you're halving that, right, you just halve what's already there. Okay, so this would become not 2 pi, but pi. This becomes 3 pi on 4. Okay, so this is if you do start with a normal one and you just want to play with what you've already got there. So because you're halving the period, you can just halve all of these points. And this becomes pi on 2, and then this one will become pi on 4. I'm pretty sure Mr. Hudson did that the other day. Okay, so that's another way that you can play with this. All right, let's have a look at what we are going to do. So first of all, our normal graph, it would go like this. Now, some of you won't need to do this, okay? Others like to be doing this. It makes it easier to see where the transformations are. Okay, so we've worked with the pi on 2, which was our 2 here, and now we're going to shift everything to the left by pi on 4. Okay, so pi on 2 here is going to come back here, and 2 pi is going to come back to 3 pi on 4. We're going to have a 3, because that's our amplitude, and a -3, and bringing the graph back is going to mean that it will look something like this, with the main points being that we go through. Now, instead of going through pi on 2, we are going to go through pi on 4, and we are going to go through 3 pi on 4.